Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Hoach and this is my Fallacy Facilitations project. I chose to do fallacies number 41 and 42, treat abstract words and symbols as if they were real things, and throw in a red herring. And these are both quite simple. Number 41, treat abstract words and symbols as if they were real things. An abstract idea is given a life of its own when coupled with an action verb. So here's the formula for that. An abstract idea or symbol plus an action verb is the fallacy. Some examples of this. Science says. I've seen this in movies. I've seen it even in textbooks. And there's always just someone in the movies like, science says, and to prove their point, but really they don't make any sense. How can science talk? Anyway, justice is knocking at the door. The fire ran wild. So as you can see, the abstract idea or symbol in this case is the fire, and the action verb is ran. And that's the fallacy. The flag marches on. Let freedom ring. We're coming into the 4th of July season, and you're going to see this on banners. You're going to see it on people's t-shirts. You're going to see it. There's songs made about it. Let freedom ring. Let the choir sing. Let the whole world know that today, the day of a reckoning. Yeah. Alright. That was awkward. Democracy calls. Number 42, throw in a red herring. In this strategy, manipulators distract from the issue at hand by focusing on what is irrelevant. This is like my favorite. I love this. So argument A is presented by person 1, and person 2 produces argument B, and then argument A is completely abandoned. Here is just some background information from where the term red herring came from. And in fox hunting, hounds are prevented from catching the fox by distracting them with the strong scent of a red herring. So similarly, this is in literature, and what I'm talking about in that, we're going down this path, and then all of a sudden someone just throws in this strong scented fish, so to speak, and I'm just like, I'm so distracted, I can't help it. And it just goes on a completely different path. Examples. I'm here to distract you. So I made up this conversation between Xavier and Jacob, and Xavier asked Jacob the question. It is morally wrong to cheat on your spouse. Why would you do such a thing? And Jacob, this is the red herring in this example. Instead of answering the question, well, I cheated on my wife because, he says, what exactly is morality? And he does this maybe, for example, to avoid the awkwardness of telling his friend why he cheated on his wife, or because he doesn't want to talk about it, simply. And so the next comment after the red herring is where the conversation is really going to be established, because there's two paths. Xavier can either say, no, that's not at all what I said. I'm asking you, why did you cheat on your wife? I'm not talking about morality. Or he can go, in this case, what he did, and say, well, it's a code of conduct, blah, blah, blah. And so basically he's just completely getting strayed, and then Jacob was like, you got him hooked now, and so he can go on and just completely go off course of what the conversation was initially started as. Red herrings are also seen in politics. I watched a YouTube video by Obama versus Romney in the 2012 presidential debate, and it was funny because this lady stood up and asked the question, what are you guys doing to implement, to help the violence in the gun laws and all that and stuff? And so Obama and Romney don't even answer that question. They just go on a complete tangent about, well, schooling does this, and Common Core does this, and if we teach our kids this, and this will happen. But it has nothing to do with the initial question. And it's funny because the lady, as they're talking to her, she just like, what are you talking about? That's not even the question I asked. But they did that because they probably didn't have an answer to that question. Alright, for the writing assignment. Fold a sheet of paper vertically in half, and on the top label it red herring fallacy. On the left side label it positive, on the right side label it negative. And here's just an example of that, if you were still confused. So take 5 minutes or so to brainstorm positive and negative consequences for using the specific fallacy. And the key in this is to put yourself in the shoes of the manipulator. I want you to pretend that you're a manipulator and say, if I were to use this fallacy, what would be the reasons why I would, and what would be the reasons why I would not? And how is it positively and negatively affected by that? How are you positively and negatively affected by that? And do the same on the back side of the paper for abstract words to real things fallacy as well. After you are finished, weigh the positive and negative consequences. What seems to be more beneficial, to manipulate using the fallacy or to not? So, for example, if you, for the red herring fallacy, had all these negative consequences for it and only maybe 2 positive, you're obviously going to see that the fallacy does more harm than it does good. Discussion questions. Number 1. Where have you seen red herrings in the media? I showed you the example of Obama versus Romney, and that's just a small example, but it's all over the place. You can see it in commercials and advertisements. They're all over Google and YouTube if you just search it. Do you remember a time when you have used the red herring fallacy to distract from an issue at hand? What was your reasoning for doing this? So for me, I remember using red herrings when I was younger, when my parents, for example, would tell me, Taylor, it's time to go to bed. And instead of me saying, okay, because I didn't want to go to bed, I would just ask nonsensical questions like, can I have a cookie? Or where's the milk? Or random questions that have no relevancy to what my mom first asked me or first told me to do. And my reasoning for doing that in that example that I shared, is because I simply did not want to go to bed. In regards to fallacy number 41, abstract words to real things, have you ever recognized this as an actual fallacy? And I ask this because when I was doing research into fallacy number 41, I didn't realize that, for example, let freedom ring was a fallacy. It just was so common in our culture, and I didn't realize that was actually something that was false. How might fallacy number 41 be compared to the literary term personification? What are their similarities and differences? Personification and fallacy number 41 are very similar in the way that they take an inanimate object like this pen, for example, and put human qualities on it that normally this pen could not do because it's a pen. You know, a pen can't run doesn't have legs, doesn't have a heart, doesn't have anything, you know, so just kind of list the similarities and differences of those two terms. Why might you, as a writer, wish to avoid using fallacies in your discussions, writings, etc.? So for me, personally, I would choose to avoid fallacies because it will diminish my credibility and my ethos. If I'm constantly just manipulating people and throwing out all these false truths, how are they going to be able to trust me again? And how are they going to therefore see my arguments as reliable and true? All right, to my favorite part, the activity. Create and record a skit of a fake scenario that goes along with the 2 fallacies we discussed. You can choose either or. Be creative. Include characters and dialogue. Make it short, anywhere from 15 seconds to 2 minutes. And the most creative and humorous wins. That is the key. I did a quick one just as an example, and it was really fun, actually. I did it with my dog, as you're going to see in a few minutes, or a few seconds. And I did it kind of poking fun at justice is knocking at the door, because in reality, the term justice cannot knock at the door. And so I'm going to show you that video right now.
Hello everyone, President Apollo here, live from the dog house. And I just want to make a public announcement saying that there will be justice in America. Justice is knocking at the door. Come on in.
Who am I? I am justice.
Alright, there you go. That's just a quick example. And I want you guys just to have fun with it and just be creative, and it can actually be quite funny. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Now I'm going to awkwardly end this.